Another video. When we match that bevel by using that marker, now what we've done is we've looked at it and we know what we're starting with. And we're matching that bevel so we know what we're starting with. If you know what you're starting with and you're making full contact with the knife, then it's easy to work both sides of the knife and draw that burr and draw the burr to the other side, and then simultaneously, alternatingly work that burr to make that tight, keen apex. But if we're not familiar and we haven't done a lot of sharpening with wicked edge and we haven't achieved sharp edges that we get the hang of it, it can be very tricky and it can be very difficult to until you get that technique down, until you figure out to draw the burr and how to match those angles, we're working blind. And I think that's what's happened with John, and it happened with me and a lot of new users. So what I suggest to you is when you're starting sharpening as a new wicked edge user, try to match the bevels. Put the marker on there and try to slide the guide rods. Let me grab one that I can show you. I got one here. Slide the guide rods in and out, whether it's with the bracket or sliding the brackets on the guide rods. We have to slide it in and out to make that stone parallel to that bevel that we put a black marker on. And once we know what that angle is and we work that edge, then we're in contact with it. Then at that point, make your changes. In other words, don't start picking an angle and say, I'm going to take this knife that I don't know anything about it and I'm going to put an 18-degree bevel on it. Well, if this thing has a 25-degree bevel on it to start with and you want to thin it down to an 18-degree more acute bevel, you're going to have to remove a lot of steel. And 25 degrees is like this, 18 degrees is like that. So where you're contacting the knife is a different place depending upon your angle. And what happens with most new users is we're contacting the knife with our stone someplace other than where it's reaching the apex of the edge. So we can't see that steel rolling over to feel that burr on the other side. We could be scratching on this knife with this 50-80 stone till kingdom come and never reach that apex because we're working behind the edge. And a lot of users, new users, clamp up that knife and say, I want to put this angle on it, and they go to town on it, and they're working down here below the edge and never drawing a burr, or maybe enough time that they're drawing a burr, but it's all blind. So for the new user, what I suggest to you is to use a marker and match it first. And then with that marker, both sides matched. It will require that you have to slide your guide rods in and out to get that to match. Don't worry about the angle. Just look at the color of the marker that you put on there and look that you're removing it so that you know that you're getting close. And it helps to use a lighted magnifying glass of some kind so that you can see when the knife is clamped and you put the black marker on it, and then when you've obliterated the black marker and now it's coming shiny again with either a flashlight you can shine on the edge and see where the marker is obliterated, or you can get a loop or a magnifying glass, or Wicked Edge sells a lighted loop that they use for their convexing kit. That's another way. But we have to know where we're at. And the only way we know where we're at is when we feel the burr on the back side, or we look at it and we see that the marker's done. That's the challenge of Wicked Edge. Once you have that burr, once you feel that and you understand, it's easy. The rest is easy. Well, it's not so simple, but it's easier. So I suggest to you to start by matching, and then from that change the profile of your edge. Don't start by clamping it up and saying, I'm going to put an 18-degree bevel on here and reprofile the knife, because you're starting blind. You don't know where on that knife edge you're contacting it, because the angles aren't matching. That's the challenge, is controlling the Wicked Edge, is knowing what you're working with. If you can see and understand what you're working with, then you'll have an easier time. I'm going to stop this and do one more.